home is where your heart is, then mine's right here. I'm Amy, and this is My Texas Today. When you think of landmarks in Dallas, you probably think about the more famous ones like the grassy knoll where Kennedy was shot, or the Texas Stadium where the Dallas Cowboys dominated the NFL. But there are those landmarks that most of us will never hear about, unless you meet a Texas great like Bill Bragg.
This is the very area that I used to walk along when I was this high on my way to get my hair cut. And we used to see these little rings about 2 car lengths along the street, all the way on both sides. And Daddy would say, "Son, do you know what that is?" And I said, "No." He said, "That's where they tied the horses and the wagons in the old days." I said, "Do you mean there were horses and wagons on this street, Elm Street?" He said, "There sure was. And here's where we tied them." As far as I know, this is the very last one.
Wow.
And there were about 2 car lengths on both sides of the street. And it's just right for running the reins of a horse or the reins from a wagon through here and tying it. And they were like parking meters are today.
Wow.
Except you didn't have to put any money in.
Isn't that something?
It's really a step back into time.
It sure is.
And can you imagine horses and wagons, covered wagons on Elm Street tied here?
No.
But they were. Well, in the good old days, this was a jewelry store. And right over there on the corner was Wyatt Drug. And we'd park up the street and walk down to get my hair cut, which was next door. And we'd walk right past where they baked Mom's fried pies. And we'd stop and get one of those. Then Mr. Wyatt would always have a stick of bubble gum waiting for me. And we'd go over there and have a cherry coke. And then we'd go next door and get my hair cut.
Wow.
It's a really historic area. It's what we call East Dallas.
Okay.
And it's really neat. The architecture of all of these buildings is still here.
Wow.
And those little rings that we saw where they tied the horses, that's got to be what that was. You can't buy that kind of hardware at Home Depot.
No, you can't. So were you born and raised in Dallas?
I was born here, and I'm planning on dying here, but that's going to be a long time from now. There's so much history and so many neat people here.
Tell us just a little bit about you being the voice of Big Tex, because I know the viewers are recognizing you.
Right. Well, I grew up like everyone else did, going to the State Fair every year and looking up at that 52-foot tall statue and just wondering about him. And always, that'd be the first thing I'd do when I got to the fair. And I never dreamed that I would grow up to be the voice. But the man before me, who did it about 35 years, passed away, and they had a big audition. And 500 people from all over the United States and a couple of foreign countries came. And luckily, 499 of them were bad. It's a fun thing to do. And you know, the president has to say 3 words before he's recognized. My fellow Americans, not me. All I have to say is 2 words. Howdy, folks.
Thank you so much for taking this time with me today and sharing this with all these Texans that would have never known about this historical place.